Hola amigos, bienvenidos a Canadá Latino. Hoy les traemos nuevamente a Fernando Valladares en parte de su larga entrevista con Bill Muniz. Le damos gracias a este periodista y sigamos con la historia del señor Valladares, que es una historia muy importante acá en la comunidad nuestra en Toronto.
You know, the fact that being a priest, you could not marry. I like women. I like women a lot.
Yeah.
The most important people in my life have been three women: my grandmother, my mother, and my wife. Mm-hmm. And I adore women, to be honest with you. And I also became aware that I wanted to be married one day. I wanted to have children. And that was out of the question.
But not under that regime.
No, I guess. You couldn't.
Well, in 73, you had a chance to explore other worlds. You came to Canada. And when I read your biography,
yes,
I honestly chuckled a little bit because of the circumstances. Yes. Now, your father, who was in Canada at the time, in 73, right?
Yeah.
He sent for your brother.
Yes.
Your older brother. But your older brother got cold feet and he really didn't want to come.
Yes.
So you, my good man, you
yes.
replaced your brother's first name on the air ticket.
Yes.
And you came instead.
Well, at that time, there were no computers and so forth. So there was the initial in the ticket.
Yeah.
G as Guillermo. And I put an F and the last name Valladares. And that's how I came to meet my father.
I can picture this scene at the airport. You arrive.
Yes.
Your father didn't recognize you. He hadn't seen you since age what? Age 4?
Age 4. It was immigration who said, "This is your father and this is your son." It reminded me of a passage in the Bible during the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
When he looks at Mary, the mother, and says, "John, this is your mother and this is your son." So it was.
Did your father know right there and then that he had sponsored the wrong son?
Well, he didn't find out until we were on our way back home.
Oh, you didn't tell him?
No, I didn't tell him.
That is so interesting.
So you changed a lot.
Yeah. I understand you lived with him for 3 months.
3 months.
And then what happened?
That was World War III because I started asking too many questions.
Oh.
I questioned him. How come you left us in Spain? My mother became paralyzed. You fled. And it was a very difficult discussion there because he said that I wish the day you were born, you would have not been born. It came to a very tragical moment where he told me to get out from the house. I got out from the house. We used to live on Palmerston and Dundas.
That's right. And you went to live with a friend?
With one of his friends used to have a rooming house. And I had my luggage, and I say, "Antonio, will you please hold this?" And I went to University Avenue to immigration because I wanted to go back to Spain.
You wanted to go back?
Yes, I wanted to go back. And then at the same time I say, and what am I going to say to my mother? So immigration...
Because there was no explanation from your dad that satisfied you, right?
No. But I couldn't. I was frustrated. I grew up frustrated. I could not understand many things that happened in life and the moment.
But you went on not only to survive, but to thrive in this community of ours. You became a power of sorts, starting with your journalistic experience, more than an experience. You were there for 4 years with a Spanish language newspaper called Correo Hispano-Americano.
Yes.
How did you become a journalist?
Well, at the seminary, I used to be a poet. I used to write poems. And it's funny because when we were living on Crawford and Dundas, and there were a lot of Portuguese people.
Yeah.
at that time, and
Yeah.
Italians.
Yeah.
Not many Spanish-speaking people. And I remember that I used to teach math to the university students here. And I became involved mainly in the Portuguese community,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I still adore. Portuguese community, I have a lot of respect, especially for the
Yeah.
Portuguese community.
Yeah.
And I became involved in the Spanish media because there was a newspaper called Correo Hispanoamericano that gave me an opportunity to write poems to publish. I published about...
And you did. But you also covered a lot of events in the Hispanic community, right?
Throughout that, what I developed is Actualidad Social Hispana, which means a page. I started with a page. I asked the publisher...
With current affairs.
Current affairs.
Yeah,
If I could do a current affair page in the community.
Yeah.
En la siguiente parte, Valladares nos habla de la Hispanic Fiesta, uno de sus proyectos más importantes.
You were there with the newspaper from 74 to 78, but in the meantime, you got married to Marina.
Marina, yes, from Colombia.
Here in...
Yes. I was covering, during my career, there was the Caravan Festival. If you remember the Caravan Pavilions.
That's right.
And my wife was, my brother-in-law was in charge of the Colombian pavilion. And I went to cover the Spanish pavilion. There were the Seville, the Madrid, and also the Colombian. There were 3 pavilions.
That's right.
And I met my wife at the entrance. She was the ticket holder.
And the rest is history, eh?
Yes, and the rest is history. Yes.
In 78, your career took a huge turn, I think. You started working for then Alderman, now it's a councillor, Tonio.
Yes.
And you were with him as an executive assistant for 10 years.
Yeah, but I have to tell you that that was a beautiful experience. And I used to have...
With Tony?
With Tony.
Of course, yeah.
Our office was located on Dovercourt College, 943 Dover College. And Tony O'Donoghue, I don't know if you remember at that time, Ben Reese died, passed away as a councillor.
Yeah.
Tony had lost for mayor the year before, I believe, or 2, and there was a by-election. So Tony knocked on my door to put a sign in my office. While he was with me putting the sign inside my office, there were Portuguese and Italian people in there. Hey, Tony, you're famous here and there. And Tony could not speak Italian or Portuguese, being in Ireland.
That's right.
So I came out and I translated for him. And Tony said, Fernando, you speak Italian and Portuguese? Sir? It's similar. And right up to then, Tony asked me if I could accompany him after work to knock on doors to translate for him.
And that's how it started.
And that's how it started. It was accidental.
I remember, Fernando, that you sort of became the eyes and ears of Tony O'Donoghue. You were pretty well everywhere. And I think you were probably as well known as he was. Now, if you were to pick one thing that you did with him, the one that sticks to your mind, the one that you got more involved in, what would that be? Was it your experience with the ethnic communities? Was it going to events? Was it speaking on his behalf? What was it?
Well, to be honest with you, I did not. When Tony O'Donoghue approached me and we won the campaign, and I said we won because I became a big part in that campaign. Remember the demographics of the ward at that time were mainly Portuguese, Italians.
And Italian,
And then there was the...
so would you say that campaigning was...
Campaigning, it became for me an eye-opener because I started meeting different people.
That's right.
Eating different foods. A world opened to me that it was unknown. And Tony said to me, why don't you become my assistant? And I said, but me not speak English very well. And you know what Tony said? Fernando, I speak English, but I cannot communicate with the community the way you do.
Yeah.
I need you not to speak English.
Yeah. Interesting.
That was the, and then it became a very good experience at an
That's
early
right.
age.
A very intense experience. In '88, you left this. Why?
Well, I became more, I didn't see myself having a future in politics because I would have liked to work more for the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
And there were not too many Hispanics.
And you never thought of becoming a politician yourself?
No, because...
Because you could accomplish things as a politician as well.
It was very difficult for me because you really have to have a community base.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't have
Which
it.
you didn't.
You know.
Do you still maintain contact with Tony?
Always. He's the godfather of my son, Jose, the oldest. And we always...
Is he well?
No, he was in palliative care as we are talking today. I was told about 3 weeks ago.
Palliative care?
Yes. And he's around 85 now, so
He's
I don't
85.
know.
Oh, that's too bad.
But to me, Tony was the figure of the father that I didn't have.
That you didn't have.
And we continue, and every time I had a problem or something, that I always can come.
He was there to help. Now, after your experience with political activity, you went back to the newspaper business, and then some. First, from '87 to '95, for 8 years, you were the editor and publisher of
Tiempo newspaper.
And which was a monthly publication?
That one was a monthly. The Correo was a weekly one.
Yeah. So you went back to becoming a journalist, but you were doing other things.
Well, I think when I was at City Hall in 1980, after knowing the communities that I was involved with in the ward, I asked Tony, I said, Tony, I would like to unify all the Spanish-speaking countries into one umbrella. And Tony is really the one that opened the door for me. And what I am today, I owe to him.
This was a very ambitious thinking on your part?
Yes, because people were saying to me that I was crazy. And they said, Simon Bolivar, the liberator of America, only managed to put together 6 countries. And you want to put together 20 different countries. So I said, you know what, our community is a majority of minorities. So if we unite under one umbrella. And that's when we founded with Tony Las Flores Foundation.
That's right. We'll talk about it a little later.
Yes.
In 1990, you were the coordinator of s27e23. So you got involved in the tourism business as well?
Well, the Canadian National Exhibition, you remember, they used to have a featured country.
That's right.
And I was told to coordinate the efforts between Canada and Spain, and I coordinated the pavilion for.
You also got involved on a TV show that was related to the s27e23.
s27e23. Yeah, s27e television on City TV. We did about 48 programs. And then I became a radio producer.
That's right. Now we're going to talk about 2 shows that I, from what I've seen, and I've seen some video. First of all, the Toronto Fiesta Productions is a company that I think spawned the Hispanic Fiesta.
Hispanic Fiesta was born after the 1982. In 1981, we founded Las Flores, and with Tony, we were saying, how can we raise money? And we decided to do a festival uniting all the 20 different countries, which, by the way, years later, I was interviewed by the Voice of the Americas in Washington. And Hispanic Fiesta is still today, it was the only festival that unites 20 different countries. Because in New York you have the Hispanic Parade, You have the 20th of July for the Colombians, but you don't have a festival that unites all the communities. So
And this is it.
And this is it.
Yeah.
And for 38 years, I produced Hispanic Fiesta.
I'm told that it's still going on today.
No, I stopped it in 2018.
18? Due to the pandemic or no?
No, it was, I wanted to take a break.
It ran its course, but for 36 years,
38 years.
38, I'm told that this International Hispanic Fiesta was the largest cultural undertaking for the Hispanic community in Canada.
Yes, sir.
Robert Costa nos presenta una mejor manera de vivir. Preste atención a estos sabios consejos.
Todo tiene su tiempo, y a su tiempo Dios hará las cosas maravillosas. Leamos lo que dice San Pedro. Humillaos, pues, bajo la poderosa mano de Dios, para que Él os exalte cuando fuere tiempo. Cuando el general Oliver Howard aceptó a Cristo, el día siguiente vino uno de sus colegas y le dijo irónicamente: Howard, he oído decir que te has hecho cristiano. Sí, es cierto, respondió el general, y no estoy avergonzado de ello. Pero Howard, dijo el otro militar, podría mostrarte 100 contradicciones en la Biblia. Bien, replicó el general, puede ser, pero no puedes probarme que anoche no entregué mi vida a Cristo. Y esas palabras acallaron a su crítico. Y esta fue la primera prueba que experimentó el general Howard acerca de su cristianismo, pero no fue ni la última ni la más grande. Tal vez la mayor de todas se produjo algunos años después, cuando terminó la Guerra de Secesión. Y puesto que estaba al mando de cierta brigada, tenía derecho de ir al frente en el desfile de victoria. Pero en la mañana, cuando el desfile se iba a celebrar, el comandante le dijo que por razones políticas emanadas de la más alta autoridad, se había dado la orden de que su predecesor dirigiera la brigada. Howard objetó que no era justo. Su comandante estuvo de acuerdo con él, pero lamentó no poder hacer nada al respecto. Entonces dijo: Howard, entiendo que eres cristiano. ¿Podrías aceptar esta situación? Eso es totalmente diferente, dijo Howard. Dirige al general tal y tal la brigada. Gracias, dijo el comandante. Aprecio su actitud. Ordenaremos que el general tal y tal dirija la brigada, pero yo quiero que tú desfiles conmigo a la cabeza del ejército. Y aquí tenemos un caso de premio a la humildad en esta vida. Pero no siempre ocurre así. A veces el debido tiempo al que se refiere nuestro versículo se producirá en el momento cuando recibamos nuestra recompensa en el más allá. Es posible que Dios permita que hoy tu humildad sea probada. A alguien se le puede dar la alabanza y el honor que te corresponden por derecho. Y si alguien puede aceptar esa alabanza y ese honor como si le pertenecieran y todos creerían que se lo ha ganado, ¿cómo vas a reaccionar tú? ¿Puedes aceptar tal situación con espíritu cristiano? Puedes, si tu mira está puesta en las cosas de arriba, no en las de la tierra. Y al hacerlo, estaremos eligiendo una mejor manera de vivir.
Canadá Latino se despide hoy con un espectáculo tremendo de México. Vamos a comenzar con los voladores veracruzanos y continuaremos con música tan bonita y variada como es la de México. Nos vemos en una semana y pásenlo muy bueno.
me espantó. Andaba por escalera,
¿Con quién?
paseando con mis amigos. Oímos un fuerte aullido, corrimos despavoridos.